In the far corners of the Sagittarius Rift, where space stations hung suspended like jewels in a dark crown, there existed a place known to smugglers, mercenaries, bounty hunters, and every other flavor of troublemaker the galaxy had to offer. The Red Nebula Bar. It wasn't just a bar. It was an arena of reputation, a place where dominance was measured in the stories others whispered about you, and the silence they dared not break when you walked by. And at the top of that silent hierarchy sat General Cathara Vex, a towering, battle-scarred Zalathi war queen whose claws had torn through armored hulls, and whose glare made lesser species faint. To most of the galaxy, she was a myth. To those who knew better, she was a warning. To the Red Nebula, she was the undefeated ruler. That night began like any other. The low hum of antimatter engines vibrating through the station walls, neon lights flickering in every shade from ultraviolet to gamma blue, and a dozen species speaking a dozen languages, all keeping their voices respectfully low whenever Cathara was present. She sat at her usual booth, a massive drink in her talon hand, surrounded by broken chairs from challengers past. Every merc who entered checked the room for her first. No one wanted to make eye contact by accident. The last fool who bumped into her was rumored to still be drifting in orbit. So when the bar doors hissed open and the human walked in calmly, casually, without even glancing in Cathara's direction, the entire bar froze. Humans were new to the rift, squishy, small, unimpressive by galactic standards. And yet, this one walked like he owned the place. His hair was messy from starship turbulence, his jacket old and scuffed, and a duffel slung over his shoulder. But what really caught the bar's attention wasn't anything about his appearance. It was the woman beside him. Elizabeth was slender, sharp-eyed, and radiated a confidence that didn't match her frame. She carried a toolkit, a plasma torch strapped to her thigh, and a look of quiet danger. The kind you only saw in people who'd survived things they never talked about. The human. Man Evan strolled to the counter and nodded to the bartender. Evening. 2 drinks. Something strong enough to regret. The bartender, a three-eyed Lumnari, stared at him like he'd just asked for a black hole in a glass. You're interrupting Cathara's territory. Evan blinked, unimpressed. She doesn't drink at the bar? Whispers rippled across the room. Someone in the back choked on their synthale. Elizabeth nudged him. You're doing it again? What? He said innocently. Asking questions? No, acting like a human in public. A deep rumbling voice shook the bar. Bring them to me. Everyone in the room flinched. Even the lights dimmed as if the station itself feared her. General Cathara Vex stood from her booth, towering over the tables, her exoskeletal armor scraping against itself with every movement. Her 4 blazing eyes locked onto Evan. Humans usually screamed when Cathara summoned them. Evan sighed instead. Liz, can you hold my beer a sec? Elizabeth took the glass without hesitation. Don't start a war, okay? No promises. He walked toward Cathara with the exhausted patience of a man who had already survived one too many wars and didn't have the energy for nonsense. The crowd held its breath. Thera loomed over him like a living nightmare. You walk into my den. You ignore my presence. And you order drinks like this place isn't mine. Evan shrugged. I didn't see your name on the door. A gasp swept through the bar. Cathara's claws flexed. Do you challenge me, human? Not particularly, Evan said. But if you're asking whether I'll back down, no? She snarled. Then kneel. No, he said. Silence. Every species in the bar braced for violence so catastrophic it might tear the station in half. But instead of striking, Cathara tilted her head. You fear nothing? Evan smirked. I fear plenty. I just don't let it boss me around. Elizabeth leaned back against the bar, amused. She'd seen this before. Evan's uncanny ability to irritate, confuse, and occasionally impress beings who could crush him like a grape. Cathara sniffed the air. You smell of battle? Of death? Of fire? It was a busy decade, Evan deadpanned, her eyes narrowed. You are a warrior, I'm retired. And yet, she growled, You carry yourself like one who has killed giants." Evan shrugged. "Only the mean ones." A long pause, then, unexpectedly, Cathara laughed, a deep, thunderous sound that cracked a nearby table. The bar staff flinched. "You entertain me, human," she said. "Sit," Evan raised a brow. "In your booth?" "In my booth." A low murmur spread across the bar. No one sat in Cathara's booth. Not even her own war chiefs. Evan turned back to Elizabeth. "You coming?" She raised her beer. "Someone has to stop you from adopting another warlord." They joined Cathara at the booth. 3 warriors, 1 table. The rest of the bar stared like they were witnessing a historical event. And they were. Cathara slammed a massive jug on the table. "Drink. Come of your battles, human. I wish to know the wars that forged your spirit." Evan took the jug and drank like the liquid which was strong enough to melt. Tungsten was iced tea. Elizabeth winced. "He does this." "It's stupid." "Impressive," Cathara boomed. "Tell me your name, Evan Cross, and your mate." Elizabeth nearly spit out her drink. "Not his mate." "Unfortunately," Evan added. Elizabeth elbowed him. Cathara's eyes gleamed with mischief. "You both amuse me." "Few do. Fewer live long after doing so." "Well," Evan said lightly, "I prefer to stay alive. In case you were thinking of killing me." "Kill you?" She let out another massive laugh. "Human, you are the first creature bold enough to speak to me as an equal." The room froze again. Cathara leaned in. "From this day, the Red Nebula Bar recognizes Evan Cross as one of my chosen warriors. Touch him, and I tear your limbs from your soul." Someone fainted. Elizabeth sipped her beer. "So, we own the bar now?" Evan grinned. "Seems like it." Cathara slammed her claws together. "A toast. To humans small in size, vast in madness." The entire bar reluctantly echoed the toast. Evan lifted his glass. "HFY, humans." "For the win." And for the first time in the bar's history, the galaxy's scariest, Alien Woman wasn't the only ruler of the room. She shared the throne with a human veteran who'd simply said, "Hold my beer."